And this is exactly what we use at Microsoft to protect our digital footprint. So generally, what we've seen is no surprise to all of us is that email continues to be the #1 threat vector because it's very easy, one, to put together, and it's very inexpensive to send out mass emails to end users. And frankly, the end users are very helpful from the standpoint that they're willing to click on links and click on attachments that may be embedded with malware. What we've seen is that the volume really hasn't changed a whole lot, but what we've seen is that the lures and how the cyber threat actors are able to adapt to the events and issues of the day has been incredible. So these two charts in front of you are very specific to COVID-19. So when we saw that COVID-19 was called really a pandemic in the March timeframe, we saw a massive increase of email that was sent to end users with lures including COVID-19 and so on, especially as states had issued restrictions for end users to be staying home and only going to grocery stores, and organizations have sent employees to work from home and so on. That just increased dramatically. And then as soon as we had some control over the COVID-19 and we saw some of the rules relaxed, we saw that volume go down quite a bit. So really important to pay attention to the events that are going on. And certainly we saw, again, those lures change as we start to talk a little bit more about vaccination and treatments for COVID and so on, that the lures have changed from COVID as being scary to lures including vaccines and treatments and so on.
Hey, Hafid, I think the other interesting thing to draw off of that graph, if you'd go back for just a moment, is really the whole idea, and we hear this time and time again, but it's absolutely true, is the cyber attackers, sometimes random, sometimes very targeted. So if you look at the scale on the left-hand side, you'll actually see the difference between United States and South Korea as different, targets. So look at how many times the total encounters against the United States, many times 10 or 20-fold the number of attempts against South Korea. And so it just demonstrates once again that the cyber attackers are going after what they perceive to be the value of the targets. And of course, if you make money or you're doing anything important, you're a valuable target.
Yeah. That's an excellent point, Jim. Thank you. So from an email perspective, we're seeing three main types of phishing. We're certainly seeing quite a bit of credential phishing. And this really has changed a few years ago as organizations began to move their core services to the cloud in general. So a lot of credential attacks really much easier than having to penetrate the network. And we're seeing a lot of business email compromise in combination with credential phishing. And business email compromise is really categorized as going after the users using, for example, the spoofed email of a CEO or CFO or a vendor that you're doing business with. So you have that assurance or false assurance that this is coming from someone that you're doing business with, someone that you know. So it makes it easier for the end user to be trustworthy in opening those emails. Certainly, and unfortunately, ransomware continues to be on the rise. There are a couple cyber criminal organizations last year. One of them has claimed that they made $100 million last year. Another one was tracked to have over $150 million in Bitcoins from revenue that they generated from ransomware. So unfortunately, ransomware has been very impactful negatively to organizations across the board in the past year, and it's going to continue to rise. It's going to continue to rise because there is a lucrative business in it, and frankly, cyber criminals are not. There is really nothing that's happening to them as these organizations are facing this ransomware and are seeing downtime to their networks as well as to their operations. Our Microsoft Detection and Response team, as I mentioned earlier, is our customer-facing incident response team that helps organizations when they have an incident. Have seen that the most common reason behind the response